Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you were just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. Get situated here. I think this is it. Yeah, this looks like the one. There's actually 2 save games with this. So welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and welcome back to another one of our Disasters of War episodes where we collaborate with you fellas and try to solve your difficult situations. This looks like challenge number 1 here. I'll put the guy's email up on the screen, although there's a backstory to his campaign, which I will very quickly paraphrase. Basically, this guy went from being a blacksmith to getting robbed by bandits to adding bandits to his army. Now he says he's the bandit king of Valandia. I love it. He's running around with bandits in his army, and he is besieged here by the Sturgeons. So let's jump into some of the details here. George is a blacksmith with a big old sword and a bunch of custom javelins. I like it. Now, not a lot of banners, not a lot of things we can change here in the before battle screen, but let's see what we can do here. His character spec's nasty, right? George knows what he's doing here. He's got some athleticism. He's got some smithing. He's got some javelins. I like George already, man. Him and I would be fighting side by side if we had a battle. I would have the shield. That way he would die first, and he would rack up kills before he died. Now, the enemy situation here is a classic. He is besieged. He's the mercenary, and the Sturgeons have, what, 7 times our force here, right? With a battering ram, a siege tower, and it looks like they even have a catapult too. So we've got 3 catapults, and I can't tell what kind of army he's got except for this screen here. We can peek. He's got 45 Sea Raiders and 36 Forest Bandits. That's it. And the difficult part of that is there's none of his captains that we can increase somehow to get a little bit more meta out of this. The difficult part about this is those are the only troops we get to control on the battlefield here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the phone down, and we will do our very best here to get George through this situation. Of course, they don't give us any time to set up. This is Tail World's way of basically saying, you're just a mercenary, you're not a nobleman. Let us remind you of the caste system of the medieval era, where mercenaries don't even get time to fucking eat breakfast before a battle, right? The lords are like, get out there and fight, you bitches, and that's what we're going to try to do here. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do here is make a square at the gate and set up archers. We're going to get to the catapults, but I want to have my men ready to fight in case there's an immediate breach. I think they had 1 siege tower, so our object is to try to destroy the siege tower, and then, of course, inflict maximum damage with these catapults. Now, it creates traffic jams like this. This is because I told the archers that were on the walls to get down into the courtyard, and I told the infantry that were in the courtyard to get over here. I did some movement, basically. I've got an auxiliary division. I think it's the 3rd division of infantry. But the rest of it is pretty bread and butter, right? The big key will be maneuvering our units after the real battle starts, right? This is the foreplay, showering the enemy with flaming projectiles here. This is your medieval siege warfare foreplay. And oh shit, we've got some very efficient mates on the other catapults. Don't even have to hit the siege tower, right? They've already destroyed it. I see a fire catapult over there. I'm going to be chasing after that as soon as I can here. Now, George is gaining levels here. He did say, I think in his email, that he already passed this scenario. So basically he said he's a much better player than us because I don't think we can. Nah, I digress. I think he said he survived with 1% health, that's a classic, right? George evidently struggled and fought and tooth and nail made it through this challenge. Let's see what we can do here. Let's apply some tactics. let's think about siege. I just thought of a good thing. The fire catapults over there, we're going to be able to carry over and dump on the troops that are coming up the siege ladders. They don't have any siege tower anymore, right? Their only siege tower is smoking out there. And so we're going to be able to chuck some of those fireballs. We'll also be able to pound the guys at the gate with those fireballs. Now, there's actually not a lot to this stage, right? We're just immolating compacted sturgeons as they march up. Fortunately, we've got some studs on our other catapult over there. They're inflicting losses. And it looks like we've killed a solid quarter of the forces before they even get to the wall. Now, some guys will say target the ram. I tend to not do that unless you have a fire catapult. And the reason in 10 seconds is very simple. If you waste all your energy trying to destroy the ram and it gets to the gate at 20%, you're fucked. Because all of those shots could have been killing troops. Suddenly they still have a ram, and it's a big gamble, right? You basically used your big killing weapons to damage the ram instead of... Where the fuck? Where are these guys going? Why are they going over there? I don't know if I've ever seen the AI do that. They just sent everybody to the siege ladder, not the main gate. Well, damn, that fucks up my strategy, man. Just like the Big Lebowski, Walter Sobchak, man, you fucks with my plan. I don't think we can hit him with this thing from here. I'm gonna have to throw it. Yeah, I hit air with that. That sucks, actually. So, let's see here. Sometimes we fail at these, right? And usually if we fail, we'll try them another time here. Now, this is going to work, right? But it's not very efficient. I got to run for 30 seconds here to kill 30 guys. You know, the good news is eventually, almost as soon as I said that, I was going to say eventually the enemy will come through the gate because the AI does the little pathfinding. It says, hey, knuckleheads, it's easier to get through this giant opening than climbing those fucking dangerous ladders. So, fortunately, we've got a nice big pile of rocks here. Our first division is at the gate. I should have mentioned that. It's kind of standard siege methodology at this stage for the channel, so sometimes I don't even mention it. They're in a square. Their job is strictly defense. I want some enemy troops coming in, but not many, right? That way we can pound them with these rocks. That way our archers can scorch anybody who happens to sneak by, all that. Unfortunately, the AI kind of actually gets in the way here. In fact, just like this dipshit throwing rocks, look at him, he missed. He like hit the wall. Get the fuck out of here, militia. Go shot a horse or something like that. The AI in this situation actually distracts from our strategy, right? And I can't hit those guys, damn. Oh, but here's some juicy targets. They're all lined up. The AI in this situation, what it'll do is actually distract troops that would ordinarily be getting shot by your archers. So it could be an impediment in this situation. And let's get some area here. We got 100% health. George's character is young and virile. Let's see what we can do over here. Let's make sure that the enemy's not surging up these siege ladders. Oh shit, they are. Never mind. Let's make a blockade on this step right here. We've got 35 archers right here. That's tenuous, but right here there's a good angle. No, I don't get them. No charging, boys. No offense for you guys so far, right? There. And now we got to clean up the gate. Now, see, these are the AI archers. I don't want these dipshits doing that, but I have no choice, right? Sometimes the AI is just going to do its things. Actually, those are ours. I beg your pardon. Those are our dipshit archers. But they were drawn there because the AI had a bunch of infantry attacking, and that was what I was saying like 2 minutes ago. I know I've been speed talking for 4 minutes, so go ahead and increase the rate of speed. That way you have to turn it down to half a speed just to figure out what I'm saying. Now, we'll go ahead and take a little breath here because you can see the situation's now pretty firmly under control. We've got Sea Raiders. They're pretty tough, right? They're fighting infantry that's weaker or equal of strength to them, but we've got 30 archers here, give or take, 25 archers firing away. George is young. George is virile. We've got 3/4 of a health bar. Even with Bannerlord player difficulty, we can kill a lot of troops here. Now, that 3rd division I'm just kind of keeping as an auxiliary division. Basically, if this turns into a crisis over here, in fact, this is a bit of a crisis. See how the enemy's leaking around? Let's solve this. Let's split a division and put archers up on these steps behind. That way it scorches these little fuckers sneaking around. These are like the rodents that sneak into the bottom of your crawl space. We'll set up a new mousetrap to kill these guys. I want to be a sound actor. By the way, Tail Worlds, if you're listening, I'm signing up to be one of the death sound animators for the next Bannerlords. I just think it's one of the funniest parts. I'm a sadist. I probably would have been a mass murderer had my life gone a less pleasant way. I like the sound of people dying. Make fun of the sound of their dying. Now, so those archers up there, what I'm going to do is pull them down and tell them to stop. F1, F6, and now they are brilliantly positioned, if I can be so humble. Any guys that sort of leak around the other side, where the other archers over here on our left can't hit them, those guys will be able to, right? So now we have 3 different angles on the guys coming through the gate. They're kind of trickling right now. You devil! Yeah, it's fucking right, I'm a devil. We're going to cut all you fucking guys down. We'll be talking about us devil for a while. Now over here, part of the reason it's working is that the AI is trying to develop a large group of units to charge us. I've got to prepare for that. That's why you see me sort of frenetically running back and forth. If they do charge, we will definitely apply our strength, our forces to that side of the keep. But until they charge, just let the archers soften them up right there. You can picture them. In fact, at some point or other, we'll go over there and sort of pay them a visit. I can still see our archers firing away. What's happening again is the AI is programmed to get 30, 60, 70, something like that troops on the wall, then it'll charge. Once it gets to the 70, 80 guys on the wall, it charges, and you can be in trouble, right? Because all of a sudden you're looking at 60, 70 guys pounding on your square, going crazy, bellowing and shit like that. But because we have these 2 different archer divisions softening them up, see that death spam? It's just an occasional death spam. That's our archers working, right? And so the AI is having a hard time building up troops to charge, right? They had a charge earlier, it got extinguished, and now they're a little bit like brain fart. They don't know what to do here. The AI fled from the gate because we massacred everything there. And look at this. There's like 300 peasants lined up at this gate over here. And there's a couple things we can do here. One of them you could just do is you could just sit here and wait till your foes shoot them into the night. The AI is unlikely to adjust rapidly. Oh shit, some of our mods are affecting this. That lord had like 300 hit points. We've got a couple mods that make enemy lords stronger that are they're remnants of our Vlandian campaign. People wondering, Baron York and the Vlandian campaign will return. Now here I'm just trying to sort of jostle the enemy troops. So I'm sending a square in. I feel like I can sort of tolerate, you know, a dozen losses here. I've got 70 troops probably, and I'm just going to essentially move this square around, sort of stir the sturgeons there, so that they fight, they get shot, they chase our guys, and we annihilate most of the guys that are on the wall here. I can throw javelins. They're getting shot still. I'm kind of cycle charging with this infantry, and then we'll get those guys back. Now, you notice the division's rapidly melting. It was, what, 12, 13? Now it's already down to 7. I can't move it here because the line of sight is buggy. But that's something you can do if you're getting impatient. But if you have a tiny force like this, you're really probably better off waiting. Now, I'm going to give you another alternative because I don't want this to just be a sit here and spend 10 minutes trying to tell you guys historical analogies. Let's finish this episode in style. This is actually a viable option if the enemy has a... Look at these cowards here. They're quivering underneath the stairs. You coward ally. George has got some coward allies. We'll show them what we do to cowards. Let's pull some divisions out here. I've got the 4th and 5th, right? 4th, 5th, 2nd. I want to leave a few forces inside in case the enemy all of a sudden rushes us. But I think we can go outside here with 3 or 4 divisions and basically do a sally attempt. Sally attempts are really fun. They were historically accurate. Usually they didn't come out the main gate, but they might if the situation dictated it. And we're going to lead with shields, of course, guys in shield walls. Handle the archers. I see 30, 40 archers out there, 50 archers maybe. And then once their archers are dead, we're going to be able just to smoke their infantry. Now, if they charge us, we'll have to move fast. But we should be able to get into the keep and then close this thing out. Getting shot here, but he's got good armor here, so George is handling business here. And I looked, we're on Bannerlord difficulty, right? So George is not playing it on easy mode. He's just got a beast character. Of course, he's got smithed equipment, right? He's got this sword he like made one night and was like, oh, this is going to cleave some sturgeons right here, cleave their heads right off their shoulders. All right, so the archers are mostly dead on this side. Now we can start stretching out archers and this infantry line. Again, I'm not recommending this for a newer player or even maybe an intermediate player. You could just sit in there until this siege is over. But this is a demonstration episode, and I think even if they charge us here, we can adjust fast enough. Plus, you got to admit it's more interesting, right? We can slash through these archers. Here's a lord here. In fact, watch this shit. She's got like 300 or 400 hit points because of the mods that we're using. Anybody who's curious, it's the powerful hero mod. Actually, it's actually a he. Look at this guy. He's just impossible to kill. I mean, how many times do I hit this fucking guy? Jesus, die. Look at this guy hiding. George, I like your character, man. I'm going to steal this guy. We're going to ride him around town, wreck some shit. We'll probably raid some villages here, spread some reputation about George, the rampaging bandit. I love this shit, man. You guys, I really appreciate you sort of letting me into your world a little bit. Guys have expressed interest in some of the save games we have for the channel, and I'm hesitant. I'll be honest. I had a YouTuber who was sort of mentoring me at the very beginning, and he said, be careful sending your own material out there. In other words, like if you're running a campaign, I don't know if I'd put your own stuff out there, because the next thing you know, you either have someone stealing your material or running around with a hybrid campaign that looks the same and messing with your reputation. So we'll see. We may eventually share some save games or something to Patreon members, and maybe not, right? We shall see. I do appreciate you guys, though, right, sending these in here, and this is routing behavior. These sturgeons have had enough heads lopped off today. And they just flat out routed. Now, if they all charged us there, they might have been able to win, but the AI is not programmed like that. Once it gives up, it just kind of throws in the towel. Let our archers gun down all these cowardly sturgeons and wrap this episode up. So I will say I didn't expect it to be that easy, but I think the AI got a little bit trapped here. I'm not going to say it's an exploit, because it's not like I intended that, but the AI kind of got jammed up about 300 troops on that left side. That's going to happen to you, right? And so I'm actually glad from an educational perspective to show you a couple different ways to handle that, right? The obvious one is simply to sit within your citadel and just smoke them, forever. If you want to get, if you want to get a little bit adventurous, you can do what we did there, a little sally attempt. It'll also, by the way, of course, improve your combat skills, not just your own combat skills, but your tactical combat skills, moving units around, being aware of cover, terrain, etc. I just realized none of this shit matters, because we're not going to send this save game back to George, so we'll just run through this. I do want to look at the money we make from this, right? There's one thing that's a big emphasis here. All these prisoners, you could take the pick of the litter on those. Incredible gear, right? Like all of this is upgrades for George. Again, he's not actually going to use this, but it emphasizes the incredible value of defending sieges as a mercenary. You can go from being broke, and by the way, we've got a couple of different Disasters of War series that are coming out on the channel, where guys are literally broke in the mercenary stage, and we give them $1 million gold in 6 months. I don't mean 6 months like real time, of course, and I don't mean 6 quarters. I mean half a Bannerlord year. These guys have $1 million, $1 million dinars from the mercenary stage. So, of course, you want to see that. You want to subscribe. You want to pay attention to the Disasters of War series. If you hit notify on YouTube, it'll tell you when we produce new episodes, but it's almost every day at this stage. Well, thanks, George, for letting me play around with your character here. I appreciate you. Appreciate all you fellas. Please hit that like button on the way out, and I will see you friends next time.